Exodus 17 verses 3-7. Give us water, so that we may drink. In those days, in their thirst for water, the people grumbled against Moses saying, Why did you ever make us leave Egypt? Was it just to have us die here of thirst with our children and our livestock? So Moses cried out to the Lord, What shall I do with this people? A little more and they will stone me. The Lord answered Moses, Go over there in front of the people, along with some of the elders of Israel, holding in your hand, as you go, the staff with which you struck the river. I will be standing there in front of you on the rock in Horeb. Strike the rock, and the water will flow from it for the people to drink. This Moses did, in the presence of the elders of Israel. The place was called Massah and Meribah, because the Israelites quarreled there and tested the Lord, saying, Is the Lord in our midst or not? The Israelites were taking a dangerous journey that would eventually lead them to the promised land. When we become hungry and thirsty, we begin to look for food and drink. The Israelites were no different. When we can't find what we need, we tend to look for someone to blame. Again, the Israelites were no different. They blamed Moses and God. The desert experience was God's way of testing them. Would they trust God, or would they hold on to their humanity and blame God and Moses for their problem? Why do you suppose that God wanted Moses to take the elders with him? Sometimes leaders of groups or nations have difficulty in believing. This would give them the opportunity to strengthen their trust and faith in God. John 20:29. Blessed are those who have not seen and have believed. The word Massah means trial or temptation, and the word Meribah means to speak out in anger or scolding. How much were they willing to trust in God? Despite all the signs worked by God, the story of the Israelites' journey to Sinai after the Exodus is a story of stubbornness and short-sightedness, of the people's inability to trust that God was with them and take care of them. In Exodus 15:22-26, just 3 days after God had parted the Red Sea, the people found water, but they could not drink it because it was bitter. Exodus 15:23, they arrived at Marah, where they could not drink its water, because it was too bitter. Hence this place was called Marah. The word Marah means bitterness. Verse 24, as the people grumbled against Moses, saying, What are we to drink? Why blame Moses for their problem? He was there and became their ready target. Exodus 15:25, he cried out to the Lord, who pointed out to him a piece of wood. When he threw it into the water became fresh. Then Moses interprets the people's demand for water to be a test of God. The people's continuing doubt seems both to be about who is in charge, because they still identify Moses as the one who brought them up out of Egypt, rather than God, and they wondered why they have been chosen. Look at what happened. The people needed water, they found it but couldn't drink it. God then instructs Moses to throw a piece of wood into the water, and the people have what they need, water to drink. They keep forgetting it was God, not Moses, who provided them with a solution to their immediate problems. Later they again complain that they don't have water, and again God comes to their rescue with water drawn from a rock. The Israelites' stubbornness, short-sightedness, and their inability or unwillingness to trust God would remain with them. The God who had delivered them from their Egyptian bondage had provided them with both food and water when they needed it. In view of all the signs and wonders that they had personally witnessed, did they now really believe that God would abandon them? Again, the Israelites were no different than the rest of us. When trouble comes into our life, do we look for others to blame? Do we try to get God to fix the problem for us with a few prayers? Or do we accept the will of God in allowing the trouble to enter our life as a way of testing our faith or giving us an opportunity to grow in trust and faith? Only God can mess into a message, a test into a testimony, a trial into a triumph, a victory into a victory. Trust in the Lord with all your heart, and lean not on your own understanding. Proverbs 3:5.